what could be different in people's lives, both longtime members and visitors, because they worshiped Easter Sunday? And are there ways you're working and planning to facilitate that experience? I was very aware last year sitting through an Easter service, and after teaching this for a while, one, kind of going, oh my gosh, how many years did I mess this up? Like all of my, like, this is the best news ever, and I think I gave so-so news. Or there was just like, people came in with all of this on their hearts and going on in their lives, and I don't think I adequately conveyed the power of the resurrection, of how that spoke into whatever they were going through. So I think, how can we, thinking about this is the pinnacle of the good news right here, right?
And there's so much pressure.
Yeah. Like how can we be more intentional to create a space and environment for people to receive that resurrection story?
We have a fantastic communications department. And one thing that they do every year for Easter and for Lent and for Christmas, they meet with our senior pastor, and our senior pastor plans out his sermon series 2 years in advance. And so there's already knowledge of where we're heading, not just with sermons, but what classes are we offering, caring classes specifically. So grief care, or our addiction recovery programs, or whatever it is that might be, because we want to recognize that when people come to celebrate Easter, they may not feel joyful or be celebratory. And you're right, there's a chance to miss that good news of the power of the resurrection because we don't give voice to the suffering, and we just want to be happy. And so they do a lot of work in very carefully choosing what will be put in the bulletin. It's very parsed down from what it is usually on a usual Sunday, because we recognize our audience isn't necessarily our members, but it's going to be the people coming in with heavy hearts, grieving the loss of a loved one, or going through a divorce, or whatever the case may be. And so we want the communication on that bulletin to be, you belong here. Like after this service, like when we're done with the pictures, come back on Monday night because we have something for you. And so that's communicated in our bulletin, it's communicated on worship slides, it's communicated throughout the narthex on our TVs. And so yeah, just kind of that, even if it's not because we are so large, it may not be a personal one-on-one interaction. I mean, we hope that it would be, but just the visual of like, oh, they have something here that I can come get some of the care that I need.
And that sometimes after Christmas or Easter, as staff, as lay leaders, we're exhausted. And so we then
Take a break.
Because, and then I'll share this story. When we first moved here, we tried a church, and it was the Sunday after Christmas. And my son was so excited to meet friends because they might be friends he would get to know in preschool. And we showed up, and it was December 28th. We moved in the night before, and we showed up and Sunday school was canceled. And we asked somebody about it, and they said, well, we sent an email out. And so we turned around and went home. And I thought, oh my gosh. So we plan all of this stuff during Advent and Christmas, but do we really think people are going to come back, and are we ready for them if they do? And so I appreciate that you guys are thinking that way, that there is something, and it's not just, okay, it's over, I need a vacation because I'm exhausted from all the busyness.
That's the same thing that I've been really trying to live into myself, but also our church expectancy, preparing ourselves for what God might do. I don't know when, but taking advantage, and you just tied it really well for me. We don't have a plan yet. We're going to be, we have the series, we have all of that. This is going to be my first Easter there, but I'm learning the culture, traditions of my church, man. It's interesting. I came from Brentwood, where there's the bells and whistles of ministry, and I see other churches do all these things, like even pictures or stuff like that, things that engage people. We don't. We are like, you do what you do, you know.
Like the
Everybody
majority of
does.
churches.
Yeah.
The exception, and then there's the majority of churches.
And my prayer and my hope, and I was talking to our music minister last night after Ash Wednesday about the culture we have does not sometimes allow for some of these things to happen because it's very much, you know, I love my church because nobody bothers me. You know, that's my kind of church. I think it's somewhere, you know, and we were talking, how do we begin to bother people, you know, to be part of this thing. So I think that's what we need to be thinking about. What ways can we help our people to see this, to be there? The choir, you know, there are many times around Holy Week, we don't sing, we don't do that. You know, I'm like, but really? You know, really? And they're there, you know.
Not just investing in that one Sunday, like you said, you don't want to show up the next week and nobody is there. Think of those everyday days, right? The meeting people where they're at every day. So yes, you can prepare and all of that, but if you're not meeting people where they're at on the everyday day, then why does it matter if you've prepared something big and fancy and special? I think about that guy, and I can't think of his name, the son of the guy who died over the summer, who started coming to church after you did his funeral, the father's funeral. And I don't think he was going to church before that, but something about the process of the grief he was going through and the process of just meeting him where he was at and not treating him like he was different or anything like that. And now he sits up in the front row almost every single week. And I think that's been an incredible witness among other people in the church, because everybody knew that the dad was praying for the son. And here after the death, you know, he's been back coming and sitting up there, and maybe I don't know his whole story, but I think he's gone through some difficult times and things like that, but just saying, hey, it doesn't matter that you haven't been in church, or it doesn't matter what you've gone through, like, I'm meeting you where you're at. I'll help you through your father's funeral.
Yeah, so I come from a business background where we had to produce numbers. But mine are not how many converts do I get in, and how many points of contact do I make. And so I have some of these guys, I'm like, did I call so and so? Ooh, it's been a while since I last. So this one guy, he just didn't want to connect with church because of some bad things. And I said, let's do coffee. And I didn't do it because I wanted him to connect with church. His dad died. The dad was loved in the church, and he didn't know how to work through the stuff. So I showed up at the funeral home, and they were selling him all sorts of things. You know, pastors, we have to do everything. I said, sorry, buddy, your dad has a church. We'll take care of that. You know, but I think it to me, it's the whole idea of relationships.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm convicted to say, just be there for people. You know, people have been let down. The church may not have been there for them. Just try to be there for them. No agenda. And right now we have a man who's coming to our church. He has a beautiful voice, sings karaoke. Next Friday I'm going to his karaoke party. He invited me. I don't mind singing, but I'll watch.
Marlene.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just ordered
Just
my
start
prawn
practicing.
But I know this man. He first came to me when I was at Brentwood. He walked into the church and came and met with me, and he was telling me this story. It lasted 2 hours, and I didn't know what was going on. It was a weird story. Then when I left Brentwood, he phoned me at Hillcrest. He was Googling me, and he phoned me, and he came in. And when he starts talking, you better have 2 hours. I've learned how to manage that, you know. I've gone out with him to lunch. He wanted me to do it tomorrow. I said, buddy, I can't do it. But he's phoned at home now, and he's joined the choir. And our choir sounds amazing. You know, he's added somewhere to it. So I'm trying to simply say that I think, how might we just be present with people, be present with people, be present with people. And I do think, personally, preparing for these special Sundays, Christmas Eve, we wanted to really do it well, preparing for Easter, kind of just knowing that maybe somebody's going to be here for the first time. So when that woman walked in, I gotta memorize her name. You know, I'm not good at remembering names, but this one I gotta know. And if all that, if that's all I do, then so be it.
So one of the things that we're saying is that people have these life events that become windows of opportunity for evangelism, whatever we want to use that word, and that Easter is like the big one in the church, the big life event in the church, right? And so, how do you follow through? How do you follow up? So it may not be so much what happens on Easter, other than just simply recognizing this is a moment in a person's life, and I'm going to take advantage of this moment in a very healthy, positive way. I'm thinking like, okay, so Jesus died and was buried and he was raised from the dead. So what does that mean? We'll go read the book of Acts and we'll find out what that means, right?
And they're like that.
Yeah. And so for you and I, when we need to keep writing the book of Acts. We need to keep
That's free.
That's free.
And I'd like to redefine witness to make sure there's a listening component.
That's really, and I appreciate a couple of years ago, and I know we're at time, but one of the things, there was an opportunity to sponsor a child on Easter Sunday at Christ. And that was one way that I think my son was 7 or 8 at the time, to say, you know, today is about new life and how much God loves us. And so our Easter gift can be to provide opportunity for someone else so that they can experience life more abundantly. So I'm really grateful for that and that connection that was made. I don't remember how many years ago that was.
We want a day in April. Because I already know which Sunday.
Yeah, so I would love at some point to chat a little more too, just as far as how through on both sides, the mutuality of the sponsored churches and individuals and the families of how the gospel's been embodied and what that's looked like in the transformation that you've been
I have
able
a
to
story
see.
of someone we all know in here. There's a man at Christ UMC who I remember running into his wife in a parking lot at Walmart, who told me, this thing has changed my husband in a deep way. He and I have become very close friends. I mean, he calls me literally every week to talk about life. And it's through that. And, you know, there's another man, you know, who the wives say, David, work with his guys, right? But really it's that was kind of, I would use it like the point of contact with Razor Roof, and most times when we meet, it's not about that. It's about, this is what I'm going through. And now it's actually both ways. And I tell them, hey man, this is what I'm going through. And we've formed these bonds and relationships, but really started with that. And especially I remember the testimony of the wife. She said, my husband has never said, I heard God, you know, and that was the moment, that was the one moment he ever used those words.
Was when they decided to sponsor and get involved. Yeah, I think we have an opportunity as a parachurch organization to offer something that allows congregations, people, followers of Christ, you know, to really live out their faith. And it's another way to build a relationship with somebody you don't know as well. I always tell the sponsors, you don't know what that child is going through, but you can share your own story with them through your letters and everything, of course. And you're like a mentor. You're also discipling them in some way, shape, or form over time. Like some stories you tell might be life transforming and life giving to them. And so you don't have to be physically present to evangelize somebody too. You can do that through letter writing. But I also love that element as a parachurch organization where we're able to see how lives can be transformed just by getting involved and doing more than peanut butter and jelly, I guess. Like it's not about writing a check so much. It's about, what are we practically doing and how do we see that transforming our lives and other people's lives.